Hey listeners, how are you this week? It is great to be with you here at Push2Plat, the only PlayStation podcast manned by Xbox gamers. Well, I jest, but today, you're going to have to bear with us. There will be a bit of Xbox love as we get in. Now, joining me today is I suppose... Well, I don't want to say recent convert because he's been a bit of an Xbox man for a while, but he plays across every system. But focusing a little bit on the X at this point in time, it is the wonderful returning guest, and in fact, not just returning guest, he's 4 times returning guest. So give this man some props for coming back. He must, every time he gets the message, he must just be like, fucking hell, not again, CJ. But look, he's come back again for the 4th time today, so I appreciate it. I'm, of course, talking of the wonderful, the AlphaSeagull, across all systems, all games, even World of Warcraft. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good. I am, I mean, not much you can say. It was pouring rain. I worked. I went home. I did homework for school, college. I believe you call it university in Australia. I could be wrong. Then I played video games and ate dinner.
It sounds like the perfect end to the day, if you ask me.
Yeah,
I like that.
COVID.
I like it. We'll get into that, but a little behind the scenes here, listeners. When Seagull loaded into this wonderful program we're using here, he went by the tag "not dead yet," which is wonderful because it's always a valid concern of mine when I talk to an American that one day I'm going to connect and there'll just be nothing there. Seagull, it'll just be empty.
I mean, I'm surviving.
Yeah. Well, that is all we can do. So first off, why don't we do a little bit of current news and this interview from Phil Spencer via Kotaku on Bethesda, the Bethesda acquisition of $7.5 billion has just dropped, and in it the gist of the interview, Seagull, is whether Phil Spencer believes they can recoup the $7.5 billion acquisition, a small change, of course, to most of us.
It's couch money to them.
That's right. It really, I mean, when you got $1 trillion cap, it's nothing. You're right. But, Sony must be licking their lips, at this point or whatever. But whether they need to share it with PS5 and whether they will. So I wonder, what do you think? Do you think they're going to lock this stuff up or not?
Well, a lot of people think that they are the good guys and they put everything on everything. But to be honest, they are playing a different game than Sony. They're going by Game Pass. They even stated before that their competition is not actually Sony, it's these other streaming services that are coming out from like Amazon, Google, and the one that's coming out from Tencent, which is the owners of League of Legends. So that's their competition. So really, they're not really even focused on Sony. So in my opinion, I don't think well, first of all, I don't think they need to put it on there. Will they put it on there? I don't know. I mean, there's definitely a chance, but after a while, they may stop, and it's because they really don't need to make their money back from putting it on Sony consoles. The whole couch change thing, that's actually kind of true. It's not really that big of a deal for them. They can, and they're the type of company that could, in fact, make the money back in 5 years and be happy with it. It could be a low rolling income, and if they make it back in 5 years, it's a success to them.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because we had Macker on the other week, and he put it as it's just an experiment, if you like, for Microsoft, which I hadn't considered before, but that makes a lot of sense. Like, I mean, sure, they bought, Minecraft, not that long ago. So, I mean, they're not out of their depth in testing the waters or whatever else. And obviously they did share that. So I think, potentially if there is a way to share it, perhaps that will happen. But the other interesting thing to me is this xCloud, which is obviously it's a bigger push, as you say, with Game Pass. It's where they're heading or whatever else. And this current case with Apple, which is, it's fascinating or whatever else, because it looks like, Epic and a few others here are finally going to take Apple on in the US court system, which will be interesting in itself, I feel. But, the other option for Microsoft here, and it's an option they seem to be, pursuing here, is that while they will take the legal fight to Apple, they're also trying to develop a way to run xCloud via a browser or through the browser, and potentially, I imagine, through Safari, so that they can backdoor the iOS system here and get on Apple. So I mean, if they can do that, which, I'm sure they're going to be able to figure out a way, you wonder if maybe it takes the need to ever have it on a Sony system or a PS5. It might just, remove that need for the market once they tap into, both the, the Android and the iOS market in that way.
Well, let me tell you something I can do. There is no app for this, but you can use the Safari web browser to go on Pornhub.
Well, that is the main thing, isn't it? Look, I'm an Apple man, but I can.
It completely bypasses everything. Like, no app needed. So it's proof that it can happen.
It can, yeah. I did test that out before I went to Apple, I can assure you. So there are some things in life you can't live without, and that must be one of them, I think. So. Look, I like it. So, but it's interesting, isn't it? So look, who knows what's going to happen, listeners? We shall see. Now, Seagull, it's been a while since we talked. You have made this shift across to the Xbox. How are you enjoying it there?
With PlayStation, I've been more of a trophy whore. So I would get like 4 to 8 stacks of a easy game, and after a while, doing that back to back, it didn't sit right with me. Well, it's not that it didn't sit right. It kind of just like made me feel tired of gaming. So after that, I was like, wait, Xbox only has 1 stack, so I'm not going to get burnt out from this. Because the whole reasoning for why I get burnt out is because I'm really playing the same game over and over and over again. If there was only like 1 to 2 stacks, I'd probably be fine.
Yeah.
But they over saturate the platinum market. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So the reason why I shifted is because I think that, well, like previous episodes with Maka, I do think that marketing for Microsoft cares about achievements, and I look at Sony and I'm like, if I get top anything with Sony, I'm not gonna get anything out of this. But if I push achievements, Microsoft has gotten people on stands in conventions to do this, to get to 1 million, to get to 2 million. They really push for it. And I also think that the community is way less toxic than the Sony.
Yeah, there's a few things there, so let's unpack that a little bit. I want to touch on a couple of those things. Let's start with the stacks, if you like. It's one of the things that I'm enjoying as well. I didn't even think about that until, a week or two ago, the fact that you are only...
It's very refreshing, right?
It really is, yeah.
It's great.
It's good. It's also wonderful on the wallet because now I'm not, looking at the Japanese store, the Hong Kong store, the American store, I can live within the Australian store.
Yeah, and you can get everything done there. And also it gives you time to play the games that also really matter, like the Halos, the Forzas, the Need for Speeds, the Call of Duties, the RPGs on there that are available, all the Game Pass games that are available, and it just gives you more time to do that, because the more you throw on stacks, the less time you're gonna put playing these real games, in my opinion.
It's a good point. And the funny thing is I was playing a bit of the Dark Souls Plus or whatever game, and it's just one. You'd think Seagull, after having played that game like 58 times across various stacks, I'd be a master of it by now. But there is one jump in that game that just aggravates the living fuck out of me. And when I got to it on Xbox, I was like, shit, here we go again, And when I did it, when I was doing it, it took like 5 or 6 goes as usual. And I was thinking in the back of my mind, I am never going to have to do this again, which was, it was a wonderful feeling, a rejoicing.
I did that with the Explosion.
Oh, I haven't got to that yet. Oh God. I remember playing that thing on the Vita. Oh, that was not an enjoyable experience.
So I hated the first time I played that game. It took me 9 hours to do it because I just needed to take a break because I got so frustrated after like the 30-minute mark.
Yeah, so
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, that is a good point you bring up. Now, the other point you brought up there, of course, is that Microsoft does seem to be showing some recognition to their players, which we're definitely seeing now with this, these champions or Hall of Famers and the various events that are running on. And yes, listeners, you're like, oh, well, if I spam a ton of games or whatever I've played forever, I might get something. But Seagull, they're also offering things like 10,000 reward points just for earning achievements for everybody. So there's something for everybody.
10,000 gamer score.
That's right. Yeah, so there is something for everyone. But look, I must ask, obviously recently we had this wonderful new trophy, patch rolled out for the PlayStation. Have you passed level 100 now, sir?
Yeah, I think I'm level 530 some. I don't know. It's somewhere in the 500s. I don't really care. I stopped caring about trophy level. They didn't really fix the problem. Everybody who's level capped at level 100 is now level capped at level 999. So they didn't do anything. They didn't do it. Like, it did nothing. What did they do? Nothing.
Yeah, well, look, that could be said a lot, I think, but about various things. But the reason I bring it up was you said that Sony they don't give recognition or whatever else, which definitely seems to be true from what I've seen around the community. But the day that the patch went through, I decided to be a smart ass, which is not a big extension for myself, I suppose, listeners. And I got on the old Twitter because you can only put nasty, vile things on Twitter, as you know, Seagull. That's all they accept there most of the time. And I put wow, this is the biggest one-day trophy haul for me. I went from like level 100 to level 999 or whatever while I was playing the Xbox, and of course tagged in Xbox ANZ and PlayStation AU into the tweet. It is the only correspondence, Seagull, I've ever had with PlayStation trophies, because I put a photo there and all they said was, wow, that's a lot of trophies. So realistically, I bet some guy behind the account was going, Jesus, how much money has this guy blasted away on our store? But that's probably the reality.
Novels.
It really is, sir. But look, so there is some, like they're doing their best, I suppose. But then the other point you put on here was the community. Now, whether it's more toxic or not, look, I don't know. I tend to agree with you as well that perhaps it is not. It seems to be people are doing their own thing more.
They've been more welcoming, in my opinion. They've been like, they're people on like True Achievements who whore all day, and no one calls them out on it. They just say, "Cool, keep on fighting the good fight." It's just like the people at the top, like Smirnov. He whores all the time, but he also gets like these 1,000-hour games done. I don't know how he does it. Oh yeah, he self boosts. He has like 8 different Xbox 360s, 10 Xbox Ones, and a splitter with a God knows what how big TV. Yeah. So I look at him and I'm like, Jesus Christ. And people don't make fun of him, but people make fun of Hakum every day. They spit hate. They're like, this guy's a team. This guy's this. Nobody does that in Xbox. Nobody.
Yeah. It's an interesting point, because one of the things that I've liked about moving across a bit is that, for some time I've been using a lot of the Xbox guides and particularly the video guides. And, I really like the personalities that are there. But, and through you recently, I've moved into some new Discord, started listening to some some podcasts, and there's a lot of content being created on the Xbox side that I suppose I never realized. In fact, I think there's a lot more being created on that side than there is on the PlayStation side. And you're right, it does seem to have this thing that it's a journey, if you like. It's your own journey, and it's really, to detract here slightly.
Whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, to distract here slightly, and I won't name him because I didn't ask, or don't have permission necessarily. But recently, well, I think in the last few years, the top Xbox gamer in Australia for Gamerscore switched to the PlayStation, and now he's also very high up in the Australian boards now, or whatever. And I sent a message to him because I didn't realize who he was until a week or two ago, and I said, "Oh, you don't play Xbox anymore?" Because he's a fair way ahead, but his score is nowhere near the score that would be required on the PlayStation, whatever else. And I said, and he you're not playing it anymore. He said, I was the number one in Australia for 7 years. No one even came close. I wanted to move to the PlayStation because the better gamers are here. And I thought, that's a really interesting comment. I mean, the better spammers are definitely on PlayStation with their 8 to 50 stacks, but whether they're better gamers or not, I'd never considered that. And I suppose if you're a pure trophy hunter, like you're just in it for the numbers or whatever, and I'm not saying that he is, but if that's a major concern for you, then perhaps I suppose it is, because I did notice that you're right, Seagull, there isn't this drive to get to 1 million gamer score, in 2 years or this or that, it's just at your own time. Isn't. Yeah, which is refreshing, I think.
Well, if he's talking about better gamers in like competitive leaderboard gamers, I think, PlayStation has that over them, over Xbox. But the thing is that, are they better gamers? Dude, they're playing like 8 stacks of bullshit.
That's right. So I think it's tied up in the numbers. One thing I want to ask you though is, I know you're a bit of a completionist on the PlayStation. Now, and I talked about this recently with some Xbox people. I really like the fact that there are no overall platinum or final trophy on Xbox. Every achievement adds up or whatever else. But once you get all achievements, you don't get an extra special one at the end of the game, which I think releases it for me, in that I'm like, well, look, I'm just not going to bother with that one because of the hours required, but, and I'm not going to be held back from getting this final bling. Do you like that, or are you in the camp that you'd like to see this overall final achievement for getting all other achievements?
All right, so let me tell you something. I purposely put Fable Anniversary on my list so I could never get 100% completion.
You're the anti-completionist.
Well, no. I want to be that guy who plays a game, and if it has delisted or unobtainable, like discontinued or unobtainable achievements, I want to go for all the obtainables. And the reason why it just pools more into gamer score. It like that guy who's 100% completion guy over there is not going to get the 980 easy gamer score from Fable Anniversary.
Yes. Yeah, it's very practical.
But that's 980 gamer score that he's never going to get.
See, you know what I love, Seagull? You can take the trophies away from us whores, but you can't take the whore out of us. We just found a new way to get it, which is... And the funniest thing is, like,
Another thing is that my PlayStation account is like 90... I think 90 something. I don't know. It decreased a bit. I think it's still in the 90 percentile. But this account, I just got it to 39% completion.
That's an achievement, sir.
I did there was an event called the Bean Dive, and it's basically you just unlock one achievement in a minimum of 5 games. I put 30 games, and each game had like 50 plus achievements. Like there were a few that had there were 10 that had 100.
Mm-hmm.
So my completion took a huge dive from 41% all the way down to 19. So I've been trying to build that up.
That's a worthy goal. Well, look, they're numbers that I can associate with, the 39% and in that area, and I think that's a fun place to be. I have no problem with that. Look, I don't even know what my percentage is, but it'd be terrifying. But the other thing that I've noticed I'm doing now, I don't think you fall into this trap because you're a little bit more perhaps a little bit more in control. But, I get I don't have a lot of Xbox games, so now I need to acquire them, of course. And I was like, well, I really enjoyed playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I think I might play it again. Or I really enjoyed MXGP3. Look, why don't I get it and I'll do it again? And so I've flooded myself in the last 2 weeks with all these older games that I'm playing again. And yeah, look, some of them maybe don't hold up as well as I thought they did when I first played them 4 years ago or something. But it is a wonderful thing to be able to, and I know you say, well, why don't you just play it on the PlayStation? But, Achievos. It's a wonderful thing to be able to play these games again and get that artificial reward, I think, too, Seagull.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think we talked about this, but I was PMing you before, like, I think it was like last weekend, and I was trying to complete a Final Fantasy 13 mission. That game, I platinumed that game. That game is trash, and I'm still playing that game. I am replaying these games. I'm replaying Assassin's Creed Ezio trilogy. I'm replaying the Kingdom Hearts trilogy. I'm replaying Final Fantasies that I've already completed. But I am also doing some new things. Like, never in my life would I have said that I would enjoy racing games until now. Forza, any Forza game, Horizon, just Forza Motorsports, Forza that new Forza Street, they got me hooked, man. They got me hooked.
They are wonderful games, though, especially the Horizon series. And it's funny because I saw Redbeard Rick in the Discord there, because of course one of the wonderful things about the Xbox is it tells you in the Discord what people are playing. I saw he was playing it for a while, and I didn't think that would be his sort of game. And I noticed there's been no comments, so perhaps it's not. But it's wonderful to see that game, is making an impact on people that are not racing game players as well, because it's an awesome game.
The playlist, just the radio stations alone are lit. They're great. Oh my god.
I like that. It feels like we're moving towards games. So why don't we do that? And why don't we have a look at what you've been playing? Now I've got a couple here I'm interested in, but I'm happy to open the floor to you if you'd like as well. What would you like to throw out?
All right. So the first one is Minecraft. I don't like this game. I'm just playing it because of an event that you and me are both in called GTASC. I'm almost done with it. There's only going to be 2 achievements that I will not have gone by the end of this. And that's only because one of them glitched on me. And I'm going to continue trying for that, but to see if it pops eventually. But no hard. There's no foul in that. I'm not a completionist on the Xbox. And then the other one is basically, I think I need to go into a private server, not an achievement server for it, because it requires that everyone in the server has to be asleep for it. And you can't expect everyone in that server to just drop what they're doing with their achievements for your achievement.
That's right. No, nobody's stopping getting their achievements in an achievement server, I can tell you. So that would defeat the purpose entirely. But yeah, I like that. Now, did you do this? Obviously, this is a sleazy trick with these achievement worlds, but I've got to ask, because there's 1,000,001 trophies and on Xbox there's 1,000,001 achievements in this game. How long does it sort of take, or how long has it taken you to do this way?
So, well, the time thing that's on, like it says here that it took me 7 hours and 32 minutes to get to where I am, but that's not true. To do all the base game achievements that I did, it took around 8 hours. 8 hours to beat the game. Like I beat the dragon. I beat the dragon. I don't remember what it's called. I beat him, and then the credits rolled. I put that out on the backlog beatdown. I beat the game today, but it definitely reduces it, because how long to beat says it's like 189 hours. So reducing it to 8 hours is pretty good in my book. The next thing is that the DLCs only take like 5 minutes to an hour for each update. So with this achievement world. So they're not challenging. The problem is that they're buggy, and they may not unlock at all. Like that one achievement I talked about at the beginning. And that's the big problem with Minecraft.
Little risk and reward. And of course, listeners, if you've been living under a rock and you haven't used achievement worlds, there's something to behold, aren't they, Seagull? I mean, they're signed, they're wonderfully built.
They're easy to find out what you need to do as well. Like, the guy who made that, he is a saint. I'll tell you that much. Like, he is wonderful. I love that guy. I don't even know who he is. I love you, dude. If you're listening to this, I love you.
He's responsible for millions of completions around the world. Now, I want to ask you about this because obviously you referenced this GTASC, whatever it is, competition that we're doing, which listeners is fascinating because it's a skill-based competition. So
spam games will not earn you rewards in this. You cannot get rat games. You cannot get, well, you can, but they're not going to increase your point value as much as these high true achievement score games will.
Well, that is 100% true. Now, obviously, this is running on the Xbox side, but there is also a version of this event running on the PlayStation side. Now, we'll dig into this in a second, but just to counterpoint you, I decided, on the Xbox side, we have a team of skilled gamers and myself, which is, an interesting pairing. But on the PlayStation side, I was like, well, I don't really know skilled gamers. I know spammers. So I thought, why not try and attract the number one spammer in the world across all systems? I think we can agree. The wonderful Ike Menzies. And he's like, yeah, definitely, we should do this. And I thought it would just be for fun. And he goes, now we must win. And I thought, well, hang on a second. We're not going to win. Look at the way I play. Look at the way you play. It's not going to happen. We're going to end up negative 1,000 or something and whatever else. And anyway, the first week we came very close to getting knocked out halfway through the week. And then he realized that he just needs to earn more trophies. The man that earns, he's on a 40,000 day or 40,000 trophy streak over 300 days or something insane. Or something. But so he's like, I've got to earn more. So which is now look, I am in jest. He does play some hard games. I see bumping him up, but he's literally just wall to wall. He's just bullshitting us through this, which is amazing, just on sheer volume. Seagull.
Give creative though, like they do give differences. It's just like 20, 30. It's not a lot, but it's there. You're not going to go negative playing these games. No. It's just like, it's so minuscule that you have to play hundreds of these to even equal to a...
Yeah, that's right. I think I got a message midway through the week that said, wow, your team's doing amazing. You have 800 trophies and 805 points. I was like, yes, we're just going to balls to the wall this competition. So look, it's not, we would be getting crucified on the Xbox side, obviously, but on the PlayStation side, it's a much smaller field or whatever. So look, it is a laugh. But look, let's come back then to the question I had. With this Minecraft, it's worth a lot of difference here. Now, because everyone's using achievement worlds, I don't really get why this is. Is it because there are just so many DLCs and people have not finished the DLCs? Is that what bumping it up?
Yes, that and also Game Pass effect.
Ah, I see.
A lot of people just put it down and never pick it up again.
And therefore inflating the score. Okay, I like that.
Yep. You gotta abuse it. It's the reason why there's a lot of 1 to 5 hour games with 500 TA diff, 1,000 TA diff, sometimes even 4,000 TA diff, and you gotta abuse those. So you gotta do those.
You do. Well, look. I'm not claiming any virtuous position because, I was like, what can I play? Because as you said, the Ratalaika catalog doesn't count, and I don't know anything else. So I was mystified for a few days, and then I stumbled across this MXGP3, which is one of my favorite MXGP games before they changed it up in these latest iterations and it put collectibles and it just went random. And this has like a 2,000 point difference or something across the whole game. And I was like, but this game, it's not hard.
I was looking at the game because I saw you playing it and I was like, oh, well, there has to be something here.
There really is.
I looked at the time and it was like, this is not that much time commitment either. This is the game. This is a GTASC game.
Well, that's what I couldn't figure out, why it was so high. And then in the back of my head, I was like, man, I'm going to be considered a skilled gamer on the Xbox if I can finish it.
It's because that was once a Game Pass game.
Yes, I think so. And also because, and I didn't realize, because it does have a little learning curve of about 10 minutes in the game. And I loaded in and I got like 9th or 10th position, and I was all over the shop, and I was like, wow, this is much harder on the Xbox than I remember on the PlayStation. And then I pulled up the guide, and it's like, oh no, you get points every race to build yourself up, so you're never going to win the first 2 races, but after that you're going to win every race. And I think that's what happens, yeah. Seagull, is people get so frustrated with the first 2 races that you can't win anyway.
They just
stop. And so it's a wonderful thing. So I intend to find more gems like that and abuse the system. I'm not going to win legitimately here. We're going
to. That's what I mean, we're not prepared for this, to be quite honest, because like the thing is that a lot of people have like preloads. Like you see people like there were 2 people. There was this team account. There was this team that popped 2 serious achievements, like Gears of War Serious 5 achievements. And I was like, oh my god, they probably were preloading that. And I was like, Jesus, you just can't put that in the first week.
No. Well,
and they blew it on the first week. I was like, woo!
That's right.
Now, do you know what preloading is?
Yes, yeah. So they're pre-setting up the game, I suppose.
Yeah, they're presetting. They strategize. They get up to a specific point, and they're like, we're gonna pop this one achievement at this time so that it strategically aligns with the event that we're in. And we don't have any of that.
No. But you're still a young man, Seagull, so you could, literally pull out, wait, and then go back in. But for someone of my age, it's one stop and that's it, sir. You're going the whole way through. There's no stopping and resuming later. So, I'm not going to preload or whatever else. And, again, we're detracting here, but of course we have this wonderful leapfrog, which I know you did as well. And now on the PlayStation side, we're up to day, I think 33 or something. And someone in there made the comment about, oh, so lucky I preloaded games. And I thought, I almost wrote back and said, well, I'm glad the number's finally getting up, because it's been really hard to earn less than, 30 trophies a day at this point, and hold them back. So it's funny how, that's just the state of play on PlayStation, which is alarming, I know, but it is funny, this preloading and all the effort that goes into it. But look, let's come back to games. Now, this next one I want to ask you about, because I have played this on the PlayStation. I did not 100% it, but I did complete the story and everything. It's a wonderful game, also on Game Pass. A Plague's Tale: Innocence. What did you think of this?
Oh, right. I 100%. That was actually my preload of the first week. I did have something, but it was like only in severe cases, because we had to use the bonus. The cutoff was at like 3,300, and we were at 2,400. It's like I was going to beat this in September for Levi's little competition. Then I was like, I could save this. I could save all of the achievements for this event, because they gave like plus 100 TA diff for like 4 different achievements. So I got like, and then like the rest of them are all plus 50. So I got a good 600 TA diff from this game. But it's really good. Like, I recommend this game.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask you about this, because one of the problems I had with the PlayStation version was that I played it blind or whatever else, which is recommended. I would say, listeners, it's worth playing this game if you haven't. But I, therefore, just used my resources all over the shop in upgrading things, and I ran into the trap of not having enough. Now, you told me there's actually a glitch, though, that you can abuse in this game, I suppose, to farm the resources. Yeah. Is that correct?
You're not supposed to farm them. So there's a glitch which allows you to get free upgrades. You get to level 10, and then on the loading screen into the level, you have to press the left start button. I don't know what they call it. The one with the squares. And you have to hold it. It's either that or the line. I don't remember which one. You gotta hold it, and then the upgrade screen comes up. You then need to go. You need to make sure you can move though, because if you cannot move, then the glitch didn't work. After that, you have to upgrade. You have to craft like Igni, the fire Igni, and then while you're crafting, you will see that for free something is upgrading, and also while you're doing that, all the resources you're putting into the crafting don't disappear, so you're upgrading for free. It's like a recycle. It's kind of confusing. I can't really explain it that well, but
That was a big find for me though, because I mean I know there's a few miscellaneous trophies and collectibles and things, but ultimately that was the thing that put me off ever doing it again on the PlayStation or whatever.
you can do it on PlayStation.
Yes, that's right. But when I played it, I didn't know about that or whatever else. So that definitely does alleviate some of the trophy or achievement burden on that. I think, which is interesting. But yeah, you're right. It's a wonderful game. Now the other one I've never heard about here. Actually, there's two here. So you're going to have to enlighten me. Outbreak Epidemic. What is this?
A very easy zombie shitty game. It's broken.
Oh, okay. So it's not a recommended.
I don't recommend it. It's broken. It's not a good time. If you don't have an Xbox Series X, and even then, it's really just a crummy game. I think I have it as a 3.0 because when you do get into it, it gets better because you kind of get into the groove of things.
The next one I feel you may feel the same about Ailment.
All right, yeah, no, this game was it was interesting. I liked it. I think it got a little challenging, but challenge is good sometimes. But it's short. It's an experience. I thought it was good.
I mean, looking at your list here, it's quite eclectic because I see you've started a few things as well. It seems like you're working on a ton of stuff, which I think is a change for you as well. I like that across the things. You're not locked into one game.
I work on different things. I don't stick to one thing really. Like for instance, earlier this week I was finding all the masks in Halo Combat Evolved in the Halo Master Chief Collection. I did an achievement in Halo 3, did an achievement in AMP 3. I did 2 achievements in Control. I did 1 achievement in Final Fantasy 13. I had like 10 achievements popping in Fable 2, and I had 2 achievements in Dead Space. So that I kind of spread myself thin.
I like that. I think you're much like me. Now that it's a new system, it's almost like a fresh start, and therefore you become like a pig in shit. You're like, oh, I'm going to try everything, and I'm going to play everything at once. Which it's it's a great way to be.
Well, I do when I'm in a new ecosystem. I like to try new things.
Yeah, I can understand that. Now, what's your plans? Because it does interest me. Because we hear about people. They shift across or whatever else, and they're there for a while. But the pool of the trophies or the pool of whatever, it comes back. So, what's your plan going forward? Are you jumping on the PS5 hype train? Are you not? What do you foresee for the future Seagull?
Well, I'm not in any hype train. I don't typically I don't like hype. It leads to disappointment, and I hate it. Just that. For now, I'm gonna stick with achievements. I will be playing PlayStation games again, but kind of like focusing on PlayStation 3. I don't know if I'm gonna buy a PlayStation 5 right away. I have a lot of PlayStation 3 stuff to go through. I have a lot of PlayStation 4 stuff, but like that's all backwards compatible now, so I can probably get a PlayStation 5 when I get up to my PlayStation 4 stuff. Uh, but with Xbox, um, for me, it's more of I'm actually enjoying this. Not so much the gamer score, but a true achievement score more than the gamer score. I like that with this leaderboard, their main leaderboard, you could have 800k gamer score and still be in the top 50 on the site. I did the math. If I do my whole collection that is here, if I get every obtainable achievement in my collection, I could be in the top 50. I would have like 2.8 million true achievement points. I'd be the only one in the top 50 that would be less than 1 million gamer score if I did that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because the true achievement site, it still runs gamer score on its leaderboards as well, still offers those leaderboards as well as the other ones, but the true trophy site has really embraced that, which is obviously it's a smaller site or smaller populated site or whatever else, but
Yeah, it's there.
mm,
It's pretty memeish
mm,
though. And what I mean by that is they don't. Their main site is True Achievements, and I think they know it. I think they definitely know that. Like True Steam Achievements, like that site never gets up. Like that site just it's terrible. But and True Trophies, it's they're doing better things with it. Like they just started the TTSC, which is
mm.
the GTASC of the trophies. I like that they're trying with it, but it's kind of too late. PSN Profiles has sunk all their efforts into being the top dog for this, and they're still a meme.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to take the other side of that, yes, definitely, the profiles is the more frequent site or whatever else, but
I will say I do like how their leaderboards are set up with the true network, like how you can go into different genres and rate yourself
mm,
in those genres, like role playing games. There's a leaderboard for role playing games. There's a leaderboard for first person shooters. There are genres I never knew existed because of these sites.
yes, yeah. And I mean, this is a good time, listeners, to say that I'm not endorsed or we are not endorsed by any of the true trophies or true achievement sites. So this is not a paid endorsement at all. But yeah, to take that side, like I enter almost every competition I can because one of the things I'm always interested in is to see if somebody has worked out a fair system to stop people like me just bulldozing through. And all of the competitions on PSN profiles are run by individuals, not by the site or whatever. And some have done that to varying degrees, but ultimately at the end of the day, none of them have managed to achieve it. And what I like about this True Trophies and these True Achievements competitions based on this difference is that this is probably the fairest way to handicap people that buy a lot of games and play a lot of short games. And in fact, it handicaps them so much that I think with the possible decay and negatives, that it almost makes it
Yep, yep.
impossible for them to even win or even survive, which I think is really
They'd be
encouraging.
out the first week.
Mm.
They'd be out the first week. They lose altogether. They'd just be thrown out. That there's no way.
Yeah, and I do, and I know it sounds like I'm preaching, but I do like that because, you can in effect just buy your way through a lot of these other competitions by buying all these $5 games as you go or whatever else, but to have
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what the leapfrog is
hmm,
for.
hmm. Yeah, of course. But to have this big event and also to be so well populated, obviously on the PlayStation side, there's a few pages to the leaderboard, but there's thousands on the True Achievements site, which I think is really exciting. And as you say, it really levels the field between someone who can afford to buy, thousands of games or whatever, and someone that's just playing their handful of games that are maybe more difficult or more time consuming or whatever else. So it's an interesting premise, and if you're not familiar with that site or these leaderboards as we talked about today, listeners, I'd highly recommend it because I know Seagull, we touched on it there, but I see that you're sort of in a lot of these things, aren't you? A lot of these categories for leaderboards and different genres, as you say.
I like to see where I stand up, and seeing as how I'm playing everything, like I'm literally playing everything. I put myself on all those leaderboards. You have to track yourself in order to be on the leaderboards. You're just not on the leaderboards. You have to actually track it.
But no, look, and I mean, everybody loves statistics, Seagull. So a few more, it doesn't hurt. Now, for the last part, I want to move away from the consoles, if we can, to the PC. I know you indulge it sometimes here, the mothership. And I want to talk about, I didn't prep this beforehand, so if you don't want to, that's fine. But I wouldn't mind talking about World of Warcraft. I know that you were anticipating an expansion or something that was coming later this year.
Yeah, it got delayed.
Oh, it has been delayed.
It got delayed to December.
Oh no!
But the pre-patch came out, and I'm playing that.
How is it?
So they worked on a lot of different systems. They removed systems like that didn't work in Battle for Azeroth, which is the current expansion. And I think the leveling system is a lot better, a lot more streamlined. Because before when you were leveling, it got confusing as to what the story really was. But now, not confusing at all. You could choose your specific location and then do the story of that location. That's it. But the thing is that what else is there? Oh, the event for the pre-patch that brings you into Shadowlands is coming out 2 weeks from now as well. So it's I don't know. COVID, that's my answer.
Yeah, that's the answer for everything. But I didn't realize that because I was listening to people talk about it the other day, and they were basically implying it's a wonderful time to start as well because the leveling system is much better.
They implemented the new leveling system.
Which is
so anybody new is gonna have a blast.
What I wanted to ask you of this game, because I've never partaken in it, so I don't know, but obviously with Final Fantasy XIV there is that now trial up to level 60. Destiny 2 obviously is free if you have Game Pass or whatever else. How does this game work? Is there any?
Game Pass is a fake MMO. I mean, Destiny is a fake MMO.
Okay. How does this game work? Is there any free content, or is it subscription from the very beginning?
So Final Fantasy XIV just went free to play, right? This is the only subscription game. The only one that survived, because it's the one that every single other one is trying to kill, but they fail and have to go free to play.
Well, hang on a second. Final Fantasy XIV is only free to play to level 60. Now, I didn't realize someone told
Yeah, well, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the best market. That's the best way to do it. Lock the end game. Just lock it.
Yes. Now, look, which is very much what they're doing. Now, the one game that I don't know if you've come across this game, but I've heard everyone talk about it as well, is this Genshin Impact, this anime, gotcha game or whatever else. Are you familiar with this?
Not yet. I want to play it.
So what I've been hearing about this game is that Seagull, that it's basically going to bend us over and financially kill us. As soon as you open it, it's just going to take all your money. And I've heard these really horrific stories or warnings about this. Now, I don't play these sort of games, so I don't know. So I downloaded it last night, and then before I even got to start it, I might have loaded up. Someone, I think Boston George, said, "Oh, it's gotcha" on my comments, and I'm terrified now, Seagull, of opening this game because of this.
So that's every free to play game.
I know, but
it turns out that every free to play game is pay to win.
Yeah. But what I don't understand with this game, and I could be talking from a position of ignorance.
Every free to play MMO is pay to win.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that, because there's a difference between free to play game like League of Legends, Fortnite, all that, and a free to play MMO. There's a total difference. 100%.
Yeah, of course. But one thing I haven't heard with this game, amongst all this fear and, this is, and I keep hearing how wonderful it is too, but one thing I haven't heard, and again, as I get into this, I'm going to find out, I suppose, is how far you can really get without dropping money. And it does seem to be that you can get a fair way. It's not like you can only play an hour or two and then you're done.
You won't last the end game, though.
Yes, but I mean, that's hundreds of hours.
That's the whole point.
I may not be alive by that time, Seagull. I mean, let's be honest. Like, how long is that going to take for me to get there? It's a long time.
You can't beat MMOs.
That's right.
Impossible.
That's right. The life suckers.
You know that better than anyone. You're playing let's be honest. Final Fantasy XIV is not far away from World of Warcraft in the top.
Yes.
You were playing one of the best MMOs. You should know this by now. You gotta grind the shit out of an MMO.
I do, and the funny thing is, when I started that Genshin, I did play an hour, so to be fully open. And when I was playing it, I was like, yeah, this is cool or whatever. But as you say, it's a massive time sink, and I really like Final Fantasy XIV. Why would I want to play this?
Yeah, you got to pick and choose. Like you can't just play a you can't play multiple MMOs. And the reason why you can't is because of that sync. That's the reason why you got the people who are dedicated to World of Warcraft, you got the people dedicated to Final Fantasy 14, and then you got that spread of people who are in those like EverQuest 2, DCU, Star Wars: The Old Republic. What else are there? Like Eve Online and all these other MMOs that World of Warcraft has just trounced over, over, over again because they tried to defeat World of Warcraft, but they epically fail. Like I don't think Final Fantasy 14 is trying to defeat World of Warcraft, which is why they're really successful.
Mm. Well, I think Final Fantasy 14 has really, in the last year, has really lent into other properties. I mean, they've lent into this Nier raid that they've now put in, which is really popular content, and they're really leaning hard into the political storyline, which I think, even though there is all this other stuff, they're really catering now for a single-player gamer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, World of Warcraft does the same thing. They cater to single player, but then they have that raid that you have to do with a lot of people, and that's what you call the end game. It's the raid, the dungeons, the player versus player, and then they do have stuff for the solo. I mean, they kind of have to be honest.
Yeah, and of course, as you say, that end game is where the time, by bumping your stats like 0.001% every hour, that's where the real grind is. But what interests me about this Genshin from my friends list, which of course, is not all encompassing, but there's enough on there to see the number of people that are playing this. And I know many of these people, they haven't touched any of the other MMOs, and yet they're raving about this one. And I don't know whether it's the fact that it's free, at least for the whole first section, or because it's the new hotness or whatever. But these are people that, they don't want to jump into these other massive MMOs, yet they're happy to do this, or at least start on this. So interesting.
They're gonna feel it soon. Like they're gonna get to the end game. There's gonna be like a paywall. There's gonna be something they have to pay for in order to, like, they're gonna start locking things. Like they're gonna be like, in order to do this many raids this week, you have to pay this amount of money, because that's what Star Wars: The Old Republic and all these free to play things do. You either pay the monthly fee or you pay the one time fee to get this many raids. It's gonna start. They're gonna start feeling it. They'll start eventually. I don't know how long it'll take them, but eventually they'll feel it.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things that I thought is when I started playing it, I thought, well, it is very beautiful. It does seem very built up and stuff. And I know in the back of my mind was like, well, if this did have a subscription, then maybe I would invest time into it because for that reason. And I read an article just recently where they'd done tests or whatever, simulated it, and someone, they didn't spend real money, but they simulated the numbers, and it would cost around $2,500 to unlock a good party of characters, potentially, if you're unlucky, or, just as it comes. And I thought, well, like, no one's going to pay $2,500 up front, but, if they had a $10 a month subscription, like, your Final Fantasy 14, like your Warcraft or whatever, I might be more inclined to, just because I know that I'm not, as you say, get to the point where I just can't make progress and suddenly I need to spend a lot of money. Maybe if it's a little drip, I prefer that better. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yep. And you would have access to everything if you would have access to everything if you were in that subscription model.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how free to play MMOs are. They get you that way. Like they're like, you could do this for free, but eventually you're gonna want to pay that monthly fee to unlock everything, including all the expansions that are locked to you because you only get to play the base game. And there's like 50 expansions of this game right now. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's what I always find funny, because look, yeah, I've spent some money in Final Fantasy 14 over the top of what you need to spend. I bought a mount or two here, and, I justify it because I've spent, 1,000+ hours in that game now. Why not have that thing if I want it? I'm definitely getting my money's worth out of it on top of the sub or whatever. So I bought one or two things here or there, but I know that game is going to keep evolving, and, it does have the subscription base, therefore it has the money coming in to do so. And with a game like this, And I know how it works, as you say, because you just invest $5 here, $5 there. But it's whether you're going to have the end game for yourself, whether you're going to stick to that game or not, how much money you're going to invest. And I suppose for me at this point, it hasn't taken me that way enough.
I don't blame you. I don't think I'm going to try it. And the reason why I say that, because I was thinking about it as we were talking, because I did want to try it, and now I don't, is
Oh, no.
I'm not big into free-to-play games. I have to put, the only way to really play an MMO that you're playing is to pay that monthly fee. To really play the game, from what I'm hearing, there is no subscription model to this game. Am I correct?
That's correct. Yeah, there is no subscription.
So there's only microtransactions, so everything could go wrong here.
It's an interesting premise for sure, and I'm sure that there are people now that are listening and just completely switched off because they don't want to pay. And look, I totally understand that, that side of things as well. So I'm not judging or whatever, but I think the point you make that you really only have time for one of these games anyway. And the other thing I realized too, getting about an hour in, was that
I used to play EverQuest back in 1999.
Yeah.
I used to play EverQuest 2 before World of Warcraft came out.
Yeah.
That, by the way, since it was the only good thing at the time, it was shit. World of Warcraft came in, and I was glad to just skip right to World of Warcraft. And I've played other games in between, because MMOs typically between expansions have what is called a lull time, where you've done all the content, it's the final patch, so you have to wait half a year for the next expansion. So I would play an MMO that came out, like, for example, I believe it was Cataclysm. Oh yeah, the Old Republic came out, Star Wars: The Old Republic. That was an MMO, and at the time, it was really good. But it's trash now. Like, they really ruined that game. I really liked the way the leveling was in that game, so I would level a lot of alts. I never played the end game because the end game kind of sucked, but I did really enjoy what I played. So I use that as like my game that I played during the lull. I didn't really have a game. I mean, the thing is that I transitioned to MOBAs more frequently now, which are like League of Legends and stuff. It's a totally different genre. And I'm enjoying that more than playing MMOs at the moment, to be fair. Like, that's where a majority of my PC gaming is now. Is it MOBAs? I mean, you could play MOBAs completely free, and just off of the in-game currency that they give you for each win, you could buy each character from it. I didn't pay a single dime for any of the characters unless it was a skin. In League of Legends, I bought every character with in-game currency, and I own every character.
No, look, it's all definitely valid points, and I suppose time will tell, because that's the other thing. I was having a conversation with someone about it the other night, and they're like, yeah, I've put in like 15 hours into this game in the last week, or 20 hours. And I'm like, well, come and talk to me after you've put 200 in. And if it's still worth playing after 200 hours, then I'll be interested. Because as you said, these games, massive time sinks. But if you're going to commit to, an MMO, a big game, you're not committing to a few hundred hours. You're potentially committing to thousands. So you want to know, I suppose, that the content's there, that it is good the whole way through.
Yeah, because if there's no end game, you're not going to stick with
it. That's exactly right. Yeah. So I suppose we'll see, Seagull. We'll sit on the fence, and in 6 months' time we can reevaluate whether it's worth playing. Yeah. Look, I agree. So,
and if there is a pay option for a monthly fee or something, a subscription, I may try out a free trial of that. Usually they give like a free month, and I may see what you get without unlocking everything for the free month.
Yeah. Well, I know we got in the weeds here, but just before we move on, the other thing I wanted to ask you about this game is obviously it's on PS4, but it is also on PC and also on mobile. And I understand that you can cross save, if you like, between the PC and the mobile effortlessly. But on the PS4, you are locked there, which actually interests me even more. Now, I know, yes, you don't get trophies, but there's hardly any trophies anyway. The concept of being able to move, fluently between the two systems, in effect, one handheld and one, fixed, that excites me a lot as well. So I think if I were to dump time into this game, I'm not even sure that I would dump it in on the PS4. I don't know if that changes your mind at all either.
Play it on the phone. That's what I would do. I play it on the go.
Well, I think the fact that you can move between that and the PC so effortlessly is wonderful. So, I mean, maybe we will look into it as it goes.
I feel like I just play on the go. Imagine if this comes to the Switch.
Well, I'm sure that's where it's heading.
Many lives will be ruined. I can feel the amount of bankruptcy going through people's heads.
Well, they reckon it took 100 million or something in the first week or so, or something, 2 weeks. So, somebody's paying up, Seagull. Somebody's paying.
The reason why I really want to try is because it's a weeb game. I'm a huge weeaboo.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, though, I started playing it, and the art style and everything else, it feels exactly like the Sword Art Online series, and particularly the latest one, the Alicization, and that was in the back of my mind, too. It's like, well, why not just go play that? I have that here, and at least I know that's a complete game at this stage. But, look, I don't know. We're moving on to bashing it now, so we'll steer away from that. So I'd like to thank you, Seagull. We don't get to talk often, although I know we message back and forth quite a lot. As I said a week or two ago, I'm really enjoying knowing you, I suppose, at this point in time, because you've been very helpful to me as I am transitioning across to the Xbox. You're introducing me to new communities. It's also wonderful to be in an event playing with yourself and a couple of others there as well that are immersed in this side of not maybe spamming trophies or spamming achievos as well. So I'm really enjoying it. And as always, I do thank you for giving up your time today to speak with me and our audience. If you are so interested in people finding you or following your progress, I suppose, how would they do so?
You can friend me on Xbox, the AlphaSeagull. You can friend me in PSN, DatOneSeagull, and that's about it. It's been a pleasure, CJ. We gotta do this more often.
Definitely, sir. Thank you. So listeners, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with DatOneSeagull. It was a bit of an eclectic mix, wasn't it? We sort of touched a little bit of competitions, systems, games, MMOs in the end as well, even some PC love. But look, a little bit of something for everyone, perhaps. So we'll shuffle across to the Push2Plat shoutouts in a moment. Before we do, thought I'd drop a little bit of love on a couple of games I have been playing this week. And I want to start with Mafia 2, the Definitive Edition. Now, yes, I know some of you are rolling your eyes now. You're like, CJ, come on, it's a broken, glitchy mess. Well, look, it probably was when they released it, and look, it still is a little bit now, but if you can live with all of that, and of course it's a PS3 remaster, it's not a remake like the Mafia Definitive that I talked about and finished the other week. If you can live with all of that, if you're here for the story and you don't mind the jankiness and the frame rate issues and, random glitches that still occasionally plague this game, if you can live with that, this is one hell of a story. In fact, I don't know why I never played these games before. I know I jumped into the Mafia 3, but there was just too much bloat within the story, I think, for me. Too many random other things you had to do. It's a streamlined, linear game, as the first one was, and it's just a wonderful story. It's like playing The Godfather or something. The voice acting is top-notch, even though that it's just a remaster. The music through the radio, it's just so evocative of the period. It is so immersive. Now, yes, as I said, there are a few hitches here and there, and some of the frame rate issues become frustrating, especially in the shooting scenes. Now, it's also a pretty easy game. Now, I didn't attempt the Mafia on classic difficulty because I read so many horror stories about various parts of the game, but I'm playing this one on the hard difficulty for the trophy, of course. And look, it's actually not that bad at all. Occasionally you get one shot killed coming through a doorway or something like that, but it's amazing how powerful the AI companions are in this game that join you on some missions. What I like is that it does follow a similar structure to the first game, where the early missions in chapters, they're not that long, but as the game progresses, they're really like solid half an hour, 45-minute chapters, and that's not even mucking around. I mean, if you did muck around and went and looked at other stuff, it could be substantial, and I haven't quite finished it yet, but I got to this wonderful chapter 11, and it did involve a bit of a car, not a car chase, like a car, how would you say, like a quick section you had to do the car in that was timed or whatever that I couldn't do, and again, it was my own fault or whatever, taking the wrong car, but that was quite a substantial bit, and the bit that followed that, I thought, well, that seems like the end of a chapter, that seems like a good place, and then it just went off on this whole other tangent, and I thought, it really is like playing a movie or something else, but having the fun, that you can muck around. You can take the car just for no reason with the guy you picked up and try and break a speed record of 125 miles, or just smash into something and kill everyone, or steal break into a store and rob stuff within the middle of this overarching story. So I'm really enjoying this game. As I said, obviously it's glitchy or whatever else, but if you haven't bought it and you're going to buy all three of them, I think you're in for a treat, and it's making me wonder if I want to go and play Mafia 3 again, or start it again for probably the 20th time, but maybe this time I'll have more context for the other games and stay in there. But look, we'll see. The other thing that I want to drop on you is a title that will probably go under the radar, unfortunately, and this is actually called This is the Zodiac Speaking. It's by the developer Push and the publisher Kablata. And look, what is it? It's obviously about the Zodiac Killer, the infamous American Zodiac Killer, never caught, of course, baffling the police. Although, he obviously, or he or she, I suppose we should say, listeners, obviously eluding the police for ages, but not for want of trying with his cryptic clues and murder scenes or whatever. And I know we're at a time now where crime podcasts in particular, shout out to Crime Junkie, which is unbelievable, of course, and sort of scale. It's I don't know, you get sucked into these things. So to be able to play it in a game is a wonderful experience. Now, yes, it's an indie title or whatever, and I do preface that this shouldn't matter, but it is only 100% list. There is no plat for this game. But basically, it's a first-person narrative walking sim. It does have elements of stealth in it. It does have interactions with the Zodiac, I suppose. So there is the nemesis enemy, if you like. And it does have wonderful detective elements. It's not a stretch to solve the puzzles, but it's not basic either. Now, there is the way the list works. It is 2 playthroughs. You can play on easy, or you have to play, I suppose, on this easy mode the first time, or one of the times, where the Zodiac is not actually present within the story, so he can't get you. You won't have a confrontation, and therefore you can't die. You're safe. And then you do have to play on the hard mode, where he is present, and so you're evading him as you complete the investigation. You're looking for probably around 3 to 4 hours if you know exactly what you're doing to streamline this game. But if you're exploring and stuff, I think you could adequately spend 6 to 8 hours upwards in the game. Now, it's not without its faults, obviously. The controller mechanics are not wonderful in this game. It's clearly a game made best for PC. The icons for picking things up, they're very specific or whatever else. Some of the text is very small, not uncommon from a port across from PC to console. But again, if you don't want to play it on the PC, if you want those trophies, or it does have 1000G completion on the Xbox, these are little things that you're going to have to deal with. Yes, they're slightly frustrating, but overall, in the grand scheme of the story, it's not bad. It does create a suspenseful storyline, and if you've followed the Zodiac Killer, if you've seen the movies, if you've listened to podcasts before, it is based in truth. There's a lot of research that has gone into this or whatever else. You play as a journalist that is sort of beaten down, I suppose, tracking this killer. He's lost his relationship, his family, and he's sort of on the edge, which is it's a wonderful sleuth, sort of a detective noir type position to be in. So again, it may be worth a look. It's fairly pricey, I think about a half price for what it is or whatever. Perhaps wait for a sale. Now, if you're like, look, I don't want a serious game, CJ. I want some spam. Well, look, you are in luck this week. Of course, Halloween Candy Break is out and about. This, of course, we've referenced before. It's exactly the same as the Donut Break and the Sushi head-to-head break. You're looking at about an hour or less here. It's a brick breaker. There are some wonderful guides out, including the guide on Noff's trophy guides, which will tell you the exact levels you need to play to unlock the stationary bosses. Of course, with a game like this, always check out the list first, because you can save a lot of time if you handle the way you use your pickups as they come. But this one in particular, perhaps I'm getting better at them, but this one in particular seemed the easiest one so far for me. And as you're going through, you'll figure out the levels that are easiest to farm if you need that just naturally as you go. If you're looking for a bit more of a, well, I don't know really what it is, I suppose a side-scrolling shooter, we have one for you from East Asia Soft this week, Brotherhood United. Currently 3 stacks available, the NAHK and EU stack. So you're looking at about 10 minutes of gameplay here, then just set on a loop. It's not actually a bad trophy list, though, because there are requirements to save 35 bros, use 35 grenades, and kill 350 enemies. Now, sure, you can just keep looping that first level, and if you collect everything, you get your 3-star trophies, and, you'll play it 6 or 7 or 8 times, and you'll beat them all, but it's a list that sort of basically encourages you to just keep going with the game, because you've got to kill 350 anyway, and the enemies increase as you go, and you can do so, and there's some fun boss fights as you go. You only have 3 sort of lives as well, so if you lose all those lives, you do have to restart. But as I said, you only need to get through the first level if you're so looking for the easy plat and put on rotation. But look, if you're going to be there for the 40 minutes it's going to take anyway, why not play the other levels? And it's an interesting twist on a list. Now, if you want even more spam that involves no effort, then I would have to recommend this Street Racer Underground. It's a totally arcadey, old-school style game. Basically, that dodging game where you just move from side to side in the car. There's very little interaction here. As you pass, if you do a close pass, you'll build up the turbo or whatever. If you do it 5 or 6 times, you'll get a turbo shoot. It's just a straight track with checkpoints, and it's all based on a timer system. Of course, the game is all tied around earning the money through these endless runs to upgrade your car. Now, if you don't want to interact with the game at all, and more power to you, why not? I think it's around $5 US or something. If you're just in it for the plat and you have a turbo controller, you can just leave the game AFKing, auto starting with the X button on the endless mode for around a day or 2 comfortably with no interaction, and you'll build up enough money that you can buy all the upgrades and then easily win the races from there. So if you're looking for no effort this week, that is definitely in your path. But look, there's some wonderful games, isn't there, at the moment? There really is. So why don't we move to the final part of the show? Lock yourself in, listeners. The shoutouts are coming up. So just before we jump into the shoutouts today, listeners, a little friendly reminder about our YouTube channel. Look, if you've never seen it, jump over to it. Yes, the show's there every week or whatever, but there's also a little bit of video content that's sort of dropping out sporadically as we go. Now, recently there was a platinum overview of the wonderful childlike, or adult-like as well, I'm going to say, Big Bobby the Big Race car game. But of course, this is all made possible by our wonderful Patreons. In the last year, I'm sure you've noticed well, I wouldn't say the quality of the show or the quantity has perhaps improved, but at least it's evolved over the last year, and that's in large part to the support of our Patreon members. It's allowed us to acquire Filmora 9, for me to experiment in some video creation. It's allowed us also, more importantly, to organize and establish music licensing so that we can use music ethically on this podcast. Now, look, that's really important because all artists struggle, whether they be game makers, whether they be musicians, whether they be composers, and to be able to pay them a small fee for their work that gives us the licensing to use it is a wonderful thing. And again, this does not come cheap, so I do want to thank all our Patreon supporters. Look, if you've got a couple of dollars, floating around in your pocket and you want to help us out, then jump on our Patreon. You don't have to spend the big bucks or whatever. This is a show that hits free every week. But look, look, if you do join the Patreon, just recently we've started this wonderful CJ's, well, that's me, top 60 of 2020. Now, I play a stack of games, and believe it or not, they're not all 3-minute games either. So it's been a wonderful little project that I've embarked on here. Now, the mini episodes, if you like, of about 5 or so minutes each, they're dropping every few days from now to the end of the year as we look at the 60 top games, not just PS4, also covering Xbox and PC and Switch games, I believe, in that list too, as we get down. So look, as I said, if you've got a couple of bucks, jump over there and help us. You know, it is not cheap to run a podcast, and if nothing else, it's nice to hear about the people that are enjoying listening, the support. Now, if you've got no money, and look, I understand that, then jump in the Discord, you know, or write us a review, or do anything to help show your love for it, because a huge amount of work goes into this project, not only on my end, but on all the wonderful guests. And for us to continue to receive such amazing guests as we move into 2021, I need your help to show that this is a serious and fun project that gamers around the world are enjoying. And now I know that from looking at the numbers, but now it's time for you to also support us by showing that. So, why don't we move to the Push2Plat Platinum Club? And we're going to start off today with Ed the Shed 2014, two staples of the spam genre by my favourite studio of all time, Playstick Interactive, the people that never cease to amaze me in what they release onto the store. Number 135, number 136, Memory Lane, EU and NA stacks. It's nothing like getting fleeced for an easy platinum, so congratulations. Teresa, Marvel Avengers. Well, look at that. Fleeced for an easy plat. Maybe not an easy plat, this one, though. So many bugged trophies. Surprised when some in-game content was actually fun. No surprise, plat was a blank screen, so I uploaded this nice view. And, of course, it's a wonderful arse shot. Although that may not be what she meant, because it also shows the carrier, the aircraft carrier, whatever it's called in that game. But it is not a bad looking arse shot if that so interests you, you know, if you dwell down there. Best trophy hunter ever. He's back on the boards with a wonderful new name. Number 527, South Park: The Stick of Truth. What a wonderfully inappropriate game that is. And if you haven't played the sequel, I highly recommend it. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. I'm styling on your bro. He has 100% completion for us this week. Professional Construction, the Simulation. I, the jack of all trades, strike again. This time with another fastest completion in the construction subgenre of simulation gaming. This raw and gritty simulation, kindly provided by the unbelievably inept goons at UIG Simulation, also feature load times that put Series X SSD to shame, all from the comfort of current gen. Though a more apropos and monkier would have been Delivery Driver, the Simulation. When it finally got to actually doing some construction, I did greatly enjoy watching the sunshine reflect off the rigid, fleshly polished shaft of my mobile crane as it began to erect mightily up into the sky. Well, I don't know about you listeners, but I'm aroused by that game. I think it's worth a look. I wonder if he's finally getting to the point with these games where even he may need to take a break. He sent me a wonderful video, I believe, on his YouTube channel of the truck just engaged in this bizarre action, driving down the road, and all of a sudden it looked like it was in some sort of a trucknado situation. It was just unbelievable. So I'm sure the jank in those games it continues to reward. So Redbeard Rick is back with a classic here, 196 Minecraft Dungeons. Fuck this game. There's nothing else you can say about it. Look, you know, that should be on the box, Rick. I think that should definitely be on the box. Number 197, Gun Crazy. I only played this to get 5 main story trophies towards GTASC. Bullshit. But, you know, look, we will go with that, Rick. You know, congratulations on another staple of the spam genre coming in at 5-minute flat, I believe. Renichi, number 172, Fuse, a beautiful 4-player co-op binary domain. Loved it. Sounds like a very serious game from a very serious player. Congratulations, sir. Also, number 173, Birds of Steel. Does it count as 2 plats in one day? Who knows? That's amazing, isn't it? I mean, you know, the only people getting more than, 1 plat a day are the Radar players. So what are you doing with these ultra rares 2 in one day? Maybe we've all got it wrong. Who knows? And he goes on to say, been a while since I had a challenging trophy though, and simulation mode was probably more frustrating than difficult, but nevertheless required some skill. Well, look, so every game you play requires a severe amount of skill, I think. So congratulations on another 2 fine platinums for the cabinet. Well, I mean, did they even make it into the cabinet these days? It must be overloaded with these ultra rare games. Well done. To wrap us out today is Zador VP, number 474, Crash Bandicoot. Completed as my third game for Eigen's Push2Plat event, still as good and challenging a game as it was in my childhood. Some of the time trials are way too annoying, even today though. Left the longest one, Sunset Vista, for last. Well, that's wonderful, sir, that you still have your reaction times, because that's another highly skilled game, and I'm impressed, and it's wonderful to see that you're enjoying it still, all these years later. I don't know how many years later from your childhood, but I'm not going to imply how old you are, but all these years and years and years later. So there you go, listeners. That brings us to the end of another very enjoyable episode. This talking Muppet is about to close his trap for this week. But before he does, I'd love to wish you all a wonderful week. May the gaming, as always, be amazing. How can it not be in this current climate? There is so much goodness just around the corner. Look, there's already so much goodness to be had even today. May the trophies fly every which way, gold, silver, bronze and plat, or even that 1,000 gamer score, and land rightly where it belongs, on your account. Keep gaming, keep smiling. Have a wonderful week. I'll catch you soon. Push2Plat podcasts are conceived, written and edited by CJ Anderson in Adobe Audition, YouTube upload handled by Repurpose.io, music licensing by Artist.io. Push2Plat would like to thank all our Patreon supporters, with special mention to our Patreon producers Zador VP, Redbeard Rick, Ready to eBeg and MZ Nitro. Without your support, this show would cease to exist. If you would like to say hi, jump into the Discord in the show notes or on Twitter at Push2Plat. If you're interested in supporting the show, then jump on Patreon, the Push2Plat Patreon, where you can find more information on how to support us and to allow us to continue to bring wonderful guests and topics from around the world.